How did this happen? You tell me. I didn't know she could succumb to such a diabolical act. Diabolic? More like a cuckoo dame. You insult her, and I'll eat your eyes out. Listen, it's unlawful to threaten an officer. Me vale. Right. Were there any strange occurrences with her before leading up to this event? No. Just my good old wife doing what she usually likes. And what's that then? None of your beeswax. Listen, mate. Withholding vital information can pervert the course of justice, which is a serious offense. Lock me away? I'll haunt you, my friend. You're a funny one, ain't you? So you're from Mexico, yeah? Mexico. Get it right, pendejo. We all gather in a circle. All eyes on Rick. So this guy decides to save your life, but leaves without an explanation. Krish with a curious eye.
That's strange. Maybe he's just there to follow some orders or something.
You could be onto something, Symphy. I turn to Rick. That doesn't explain why you have all these pictures though, does it? After all what I said, and none of ya can get it in that thick skull of yours. Calm down, bro. I try to diffuse the Rick regains his composure, claiming that he sat down for years, enraged to decipher that foreign prayer. It was a success. After 8 years of busting his brain to its wits' end, how he was just waiting to utilize it, and is only now glimpsing the proof of its fruit. And although Crow saved his life, a force of unkind energy tells him not to trust him whenever he crosses his mind. He says that the reason for the papers on the wall is because ever since he confronted that entity, he was trying to conduct research on what it is and figure out how and why that prayer works on it. This empowered his curiosity to delve deep into other entities that may exist in this reality. And believe me, there are other forces at play too. One thing that stuck with him was an old man by the name of Alfonzo Cisneros, tethered to not an asylum, but a Craze House. I heard it is anguish that sometimes faces appear in the walls. They speak with a profound pain. No, please, get off me. No. And when the moon rises, Patience's eyes roll back while they waver in the metrical drowse. I think we should pay him a visit. He might know how to make this thing disappear.
I doubt it.
Cynthia in a negative stance. Any sort of information is crucial at this point. I lead. We hesitate to leave, glancing at one another on who goes first, on who's willing to leave an echo of their voice behind. A souvenir in remembrance for their audacity. But it looks like Rick will take the hit. He shakes his head, sickened by our haunted gaze. He sets out, pausing to check for any inconsistencies in the airy ambience of the garage. Then cues us it's safe to get into the car, and we scurry in. We're finally on our way. We hit the motorway in no time, but it's weird to me because it's like any ordinary day. The sun rises beautifully over the horizon. The birds chirp with a charm to our ears. The cool breeze runs its fingers through our hair. Our lungs swell with an unruffled self-assurance while we're on our way to this Craze House. We pull up outside. This place reminds me of Hill House, Flanagan and Jackson, except it's menacing and perplexing. A statue sits on its throne on the front porch. It boasts an airy but arrogant features, crumbling gold and ruby encrusted stones, but radiates a sense of a resounding horror. We step out of the car. Rick turns to all of us. Look, let's just hurry up and go inside. I don't want to waste time, alright? We signal we'll follow him. We proceed, taking in the shadows standing behind the upstairs knitted curtain. I notice the house looks lopsided, like something lifted it and perfectly tilted it to the side. The paintwork almost Vanta black, like we're walking into a black hole. The windows have handprints that resemble someone trying to escape. As we stand at the decaying front door, I take one last look at the statue. A name is etched into a medallion, but it's too eroded to read. Rick knocks and a lady quickly opens the door in a long black velvet gothic dress, almost like a goth Barbie. I'm terrified by one of her eyes that have been burnt out. Her lips tighten and her eyes peer about wild. I gathered there is no place for visitors here. We're here to see Alfonzo Cisneros, but she just stares at Rick. He shows his badge number. Now don't let me bring backup and ravage this dam. His words penetrate her psyche, letting us in without question. The door shuts by itself with a blunt thump to my ears. There's no natural light, though the windows are clear, like there's no sign of life, just a bunch of enigmatic people to fear. Her eyes read us with a neutral expression. I think she's more than off, and I need to gather the name on her tag. Eslin Arcanum. Eslin, I assert in an authoritative tone. Where's Alfonzo? Pumping the scare into her so there's no funny business ahead. She walks off without speaking. We follow her feet while the floorboards creak. The deeper in we get, the more arctic and heartbreaking. Cigarette butts brand the furniture, nail scratches on vintage decking. Spiders infest the corners, patients eating gooey soup for breakfast. Every door we pass, I get an overwhelming feeling. I'm suffocated by the emptiness of this house. Every patient diverse in race, diverse in space, diverse in the way one lares, peers, gazes with a glimmer in their tears. My feet touch the bottom of the staircase when something tells me to look back. Patients stare at us like they're frozen in time. Not one finger lifts, not one eye twitch. Every breath appears lifeless. Mercy taps me on the shoulder and I flinch. She signals to ignore and stick to the plan. I proceed up the stairs. The walls adorned with old portraits of noble, but jaundiced and depressed people. Halloween's come early, and I'm here for the prequel. Every room is a sign of gloom, and further down this dark hallway, the more of a doom, until an entrancing door comes into view, anchored with a brightly coloured skull. It's like we're on our way to the final boss, the scariest of them all. Like we're on our way to the House of Myers, or the Ehrlich's Trap. We finally arrive. Eslin turns around and puts her finger over her lips. Shh. That's the first thing we've heard her utter since we arrived. She slowly pushes the door, where no light is allowed to fill this space. She peeks her head in, then signals us the all clear. We move in, and a light begins to dim and glow when we flow to the fathomless. Who's there? We freeze on an excruciating voice, but Eslin cues us to not worry. A few more meters ahead, and the back of a man with wet, grey hair sits in a chair. Do not provoke! Eslin suddenly rips. She's a weird one, innit? Eslin gives Rick the stare of death, and he retreats. Alfonzo stands up. We wait for him to stare, but there's no twitch in his stance. I take a step forward, and he swifts his head to the side. The half of his face, the remembrance of a decaying corpse. We don't know what to do. Not even Eslin can predict his trend. He looks grisly, boy. This is insane, this place tames my joy. Somebody come and please save us, boy. I can't even take the silent whisper, boy. Eslin whispers and he motions her to quiet. He turns around. Green mold decorates the other half of his face. I retch. Cynthia covers her mouth and he points a sharp finger at her. We turn to her. Why her? Why you? And this point lasts a decade. He edges towards us with a slow slither, and as he brushes past Eslin with a cheeky wink, He charges at Cynthia.